Hello guys, it's me again, Tobi Arayomi, CEO of Wealth Mental Goals, and I'm so excited to be on your phone, your tablet, whatever device you're using. I want to let you know about an event that's happening this Saturday, the 2nd of May, and you don't want to miss it. Our last event was already filled with so much motivation, it was filled with so much inspiration and talks on leadership development, money management, and different areas, and also a great opportunity for you guys to have a behind-the-scene access to see what it is we do at WMG. I'm sure you see all these charts and figures and wonder what's going on. You get to have a behind-the-scenes access to see exactly what we're doing. You get to speak to some of my existing students and business partners and find out so much more. Guys, we want to give you as much free content as possible, so I've made sure this event is absolutely free. Now listen, it's on the 2nd of May, this Saturday. You don't want to miss it. You can't afford to. Let's win together. See you online. Hello guys, it's me again, Tobi Arayomi, CEO of Wealth Mental Goals, and I'm so excited to be on your phone, your tablet, whatever device you're using. I want to let you know about an event that's happening this Saturday, the 2nd of May, and you don't want to miss it. Our last event was already filled with so much motivation, it was filled with so much inspiration and talks on leadership development, money management, and different areas, and also a great opportunity for you guys to have a behind-the-scene access to see what it is we do at WMG. I'm sure you see all these charts and figures and wonder what's going on. You get to have a behind-the-scenes access to see exactly what we're doing. You get to speak to some of my existing students and business partners and find out so much more. Guys, we want to give you as much free content as possible, so I've made sure this event is absolutely free. Now listen, it's on the 2nd of May, this Saturday. You don't want to miss it. You can't afford to. Let's win together. See you online. Hello guys, it's me again, Tobi Arayomi, CEO of Wealth Mental Goals, and I'm so excited to be on and business builders. I'm so glad to be live with every single one of you in your own homes, wherever you are. Why don't you do something right now before we start? And you contact as many people as possible on your social media platforms, whatever. Tell them we're discussing an all-important subject. The topic we're discussing is RIP, fear, because we want to kick fear in the butt. Listen, I don't want you to get through your whole life and feel the regret of not giving it everything you could, not putting in that 120 that you could have put into life. And I've been studying and looking at people who are in palliative care. I once read a little bit of a proverb that said it's better to go to funerals than it is to go to weddings, and I wondered why it said that. And I think part of the reason why it said that is because at a funeral you're right at the end of your life, and we get to discover some of the biggest regrets that you had, that you didn't do, the opportunities you didn't take, the people you didn't meet because of this phantom, this phobia, this thing, this invisible force that surrounds every single one of us in an attempt to limit our potential called fear. And we want to take fear and put it in a stranglehold. Listen, I've come angry. I've come ready to kill something today called fear in your life, so that destiny, that purpose, that life assignment, that goal, so you can live life to the fullest. You can be the happiest person that you're meant to be. You do deserve better. You've just got to believe that you deserve better for your own life. So why don't you stir up your social media contacts, take a little screenshot of the screen, put that on your stories. I know numbers might drop for that, but also please, if you're joining us for the first time, this is a website, this is a page with so much free content, so much added value that we want to give you. Why don't you like and hit subscribe right now and get connected to WMG, because we want to journey with you forward. And follow us on all our socials. We're on Twitter, Wealth Mental Gold. We're on Instagram, WMG TV. We're on TikTok now, but I haven't started. I've got some exciting things coming for TikTok. And we are also on Facebook. Why don't you join us across all our social media platforms? We're building a strong brand. We're building a strong team. Myself and my business partners just finished a call discussing this year's plans for WMG. And you'll think it was our 10-year goal, but we're compounding all of that power into 1 year to make what we do even more effective than it already is. Guys, welcome again. My name is Tobi Arayomi, for those of you who don't know, and I am your friend. And I have to say that because sometimes we want to be everybody. We want to be nice to everybody without helping them. We want everybody to like us, but the job is to help you get where you need to get. So you can get your mom, you can get your children, you can get anybody here right now, because this is going to help them. I wish that these were things that people told me when I was younger. And actually, when I write down my ideas on how to coach you, I literally ask myself the question, what are the things that I wish, because I wish I was living the life I'm living now from the age of 14 or 13 or 12. I actually think children have massive amounts of potential, but we limit them by running them through a school system that grades them according to somebody else instead of according to what's on the inside of them. So what is fear, therefore? Fear is a thief of potential. Fear, its not a thief of potential, it's a thief of actual. Its job is to hold your potential captive. It either delays it or denies it, or it completely destroys it. Either one of those 3 Ds. It delays it, denies it, or completely destroys it. And it's there literally to destroy possibilities or to destroy positive outcomes that you want to achieve in your own life. Fear, most people think that the opposite of fear is faith, but I put to you that the opposite of fear is love. And actually, the people who I see who operate in the greatest level of fearlessness operate in the highest level of compassion, the highest degrees of love. And I'm talking about love for self before love for others. And these are things that we're going to deal with and discuss today. Then I want to give you weapons. I want to put weapons in your arsenal to overcome fear. But let's start with this. A man once said that he wanted to find the richest place on planet Earth. So he went and read the best books that are out there. He went to the biggest banks. He saw the most amazing works of art in galleries. He went and researched the ancient civilizations, the Assyrians and the Egyptians, and discovered their amount of wealth. Dissatisfied with his journeying to find the richest place on the planet, he sat down on a bench by himself in a graveyard, thinking about life. And all of a sudden, he looks at the graveyard and he discovers in that moment, here is the richest place on the planet, because in this graveyard are the greatest authors that never wrote a book, the greatest runners that never ran their race, the greatest business people that never did business, the greatest mathematicians who never published their theories or assignments. Here in the grave, where it's too late, lay all of human potential laid wasted. And I don't want to be in my own life those few souls who did not achieve what was on the inside of them, or at least release their potential. And when you study people who are on their deathbed, people who are close to death, they have some major regrets. And ranking highest amongst the regrets of people is the very thing that I want to deal with in my category of weapons that come against fear. What ranking the highest was this: I wish I didn't care what people thought about me. I wish I was not imprisoned by the opinions of people who surround me. I wish I just determined what I wanted to do. And I'm going to give you a word for that in just a moment. But the ancient Cherokees, who are the old American civilization, the native Indians of America, used to have a story about 2 wolves on the inside of somebody. For purpose of this, we'll call the 2 wolves fear, one of them, and the other one faith. And he said there are 2 wolves on the inside of everyone to his son, competing, and each one wants to devour and consume you. And each one wants to devour and consume the other. The fear wolf wants to eat the faith wolf, and the faith wolf wants to swallow the fear wolf. And the son said to his dad, which one of these win? And his dad said, the one you feed the most. I'd like to also flip that. The one you starve the most also loses. Some of you right now who are watching me are going to have to come to a serious realization. It's very hard to be on a call like this. I would rather honestly be distracted watching some show on TV or dumbing myself down with popular culture or entertainment than sit in a call like this. But I determined as part of my core values that every day, every week, no matter what I'm doing, I am going to develop myself. And by the way, that feels like going to the gym. Developing your mind feels no different, which is why we don't want to watch anything that helps us or promotes a healthy mind, because it causes us to train our brain and to stretch it outside of the place of the familiar. But whichever one of these you feed the most, the fear or the faith that's on the inside of you, whichever one you feed the most determines what your outcomes are. It determines what you become. It determines literally how great you become. If you keep feeding this fear beast that's on the inside of you, you keep giving it everything it wants and everything it needs, eventually that fear is going to consume all the faith that's sitting on the inside of you. And so today I want to come and help you in this short time we have to teach you how to feed the faith and starve the fear that's on the inside of you. You've got to be so careful now. Every single decision you make is feeding either one of these. Every single choice, every single word you speak, every one of your choices from this day onwards, I want you to live with the consciousness that you are feeding the one and starving the other. And if you feed your fear, you only enable it to eat your faith. But if you feed your faith, you're going to enable it to swallow, consume, and tear the life out of fear. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to knock out fear once and for all. But fear, I want to show you, demonstrate to you just how devastating fear is. Fear dominates, please write this down, fear dominates the majority. Fear dominates the majority. And write this down, fear governs at the highest echelons of society. What do I mean by that? The danger is this: fear dominates the majority. Basically, one of the things I tell people about being successful in any area of your life, if you want to be successful, find out what the majority are doing, and most of the time, if you do the exact opposite, you're going to be successful. If the majority are getting a job, do the opposite. If the majority are pulling other people down and gossiping, do the opposite. In fact, if you want to be successful in life, you're going to have to learn to be countercultural. That means part of what governs the culture of fear around us is the need for social approval. We want to conform by nature. We don't want to trouble the boat. We don't want to stir things up in this cult-like world of political correctness, where if you say something, you might just offend somebody, and everybody's in bubble-wrapped rooms, too afraid to offend each other. You've got to be willing to be different, and by nature, difference is offensive. By nature, difference is offensive, but difference will also cause those who resonate at the same frequency that you've got on the inside to even draw to your life in a greater way. Somebody is waiting for permission to lead. They are waiting for permission to be great, and they're looking to you right now, looking to you. Your actions grant them permission to be different. What I've done with WMG, my actions have permitted others to believe that they can be millionaires and billionaires. My action has permitted those who have the conviction on the inside of them to believe and to dream. It's not that I wasn't the first person who had this idea. Maybe this idea rained on so many others, but I was willing to take action on the idea, and my actions gave other people permission. Right now, some of you, your actions are about to release permission for other people to be great, and this is what we want to do. The more people we get free, the more people we get free. The more people we help, the more people we help, because when we help you, your action, your model, your demonstration, your life gives other people the permission to be as great as they're meant to be. That's what leaders do. Leaders don't sit as lords on the top and look down on people. Leaders get right down and pick other people up and lift other people up. But more on that when we look at core values. Fear is a thief. And I want you to know that some of you right now are living in daylight robbery. Fear is a thief. Fear is a thief of your potential. Fear is a thief of your future. Picture it like this. This is a question I ask myself every single day. Toby, what would you do right now if you were not afraid? Actually, I've discovered that every great thing has been camouflaged by fear. It's as if fear came into my life and hid opportunities from me. So I no longer even recognize if I'm in the middle, slap bang in the midst of great opportunity, I don't have the ability to recognize it because of fear. Fear is a thief of opportunities. Fear will always make you overreact. Let me put it like this. Fear is a great exaggerator. When I was younger, people asked me how I sleep so late and wake up so early. I've been training in the school of insomnia since I was a child. Let me tell you why, because I had a deep, deep phobia of the dark. And I hated the dark. I hated when I started seeing the sun disappear and the clouds start to set in and lights start to get dark. Because for years, I don't know where it came from. Maybe I need to sit down with my parents to find out where it came from. But for years, I had a belief that there was some demon underneath my bed or some ghost, that when the lights would go off, I would do this game. And the worst thing was when my dad would say, "Hey, Toby, could you go upstairs and get my slippers?" Because then I had to go and engage all those demons, and my imagination was wild. And let me tell you what I would do. I don't know if any of you else did this, but I would run upstairs, switch on the light in every room because the demons didn't like the light. Then I would run from one room straight to the other one, switch on the light there. Then I would run out of that one, switch on the light there. Then I'd grab the slippers and run like something was chasing me from behind, and then run and give it to my dad, and then realize that I even grabbed the wrong thing, or I forgot the very thing that he told me to go and get. This is fear. It's a phantom. Did this thing ever exist? Was there ever a day? Now, I had some creepy things happen to me as a child, but was there ever a day where this thing actually stood in my room or came and slapped me across the face, or it actually manifested? Or maybe some of my fears were even strengthened by watching things like Freddy Krueger, or what's that thing you're not meant to say in the mirror 3 times? And maybe we'll edit this and play the music later, but we would say this ghost name 3 times in the mirror, and sometimes I didn't even call his name. I don't know if it was Freddy Krueger or who it was, but you weren't meant to say their name 3 times in the mirror. And sometimes I'll say their name in my head and think they're going to appear in my head, and I was petrified, and fear limited me. Fear robbed me of sleep every single night. Fear made sure I didn't focus in school, because when you don't sleep, you got ADHD and dyslexia goes through the roof. I didn't have any attention in school. I was sleeping through classes. I couldn't focus, and nobody understood back then anything like dyslexia or any of those issues. People just thought I was being silly or I was being dumb. But these were real fears that were core on the inside of me, that were coming to eat away at the potential that was within me and robbing me of having a good life, robbing me of having a good sleep. And it's amazes me that years later that you could be 30, 40, 50 and still be held captive by fears that you had when you were a child. Why? Write this down. Because we are in adulthood the echo of childhood. This is why they call it your formative years. We are in adulthood the echo of childhood. So I want to deal with some things that I want you to do in order to build your faith, your ability to launch forward, your ability to be self-motivated, self-propelled, self-sustaining, self-advertising. Because also they found out that when you have fear in your life, you're less willing to negotiate. You become more passive. And can I tell you something? We live in a fear culture. We live in a fear culture. Every single time you go out, you switch on your TV, everything is about who died. They moved from Brexit to COVID-19. Once COVID-19's over, they're going to find the next thing. Why? Because news has realized something. Bad news sells. Because people want to be reinforced in their fears more than they want to be reinforced in their faith. So at some point, guys, listen to me. You got to switch off the news. You got to switch off who's dying. You got to get in the ring and start fighting and start moving. And while everybody's worrying, this is actually obscurity for them. Hear me, but it's opportunity for you. This is trouble for them, but this is your time. Listen, this is your opportunity time. I can hear the rats getting ready. I can hear them scurrying. The rat race is beginning again. You're about to be called back to your job to feed the dying economy. And right now you have an opportunity to believe, to dig in deep, to grow a skill, to build yourself, to study, to shut down distractions, to be everything that you're meant to be. Forsake your excuses, get rid of them, and stop believing who you are. You have that chance to shake yourself, to wake yourself up, yourself or to come to yourself. Do you know how many people haven't yet even come to their self? And this is why we want to teach you that it all begins with you. You are the core. Unfortunately, confidence is the door that can only be opened from within. No one from outside. I cannot come from outside and open the door of confidence and self-esteem. Confidence and self-esteem is the only door that can only be opened from within. Have you ever locked your children in a bathroom? I have. Not locked them in. Please don't call the NSPCC. I didn't lock them in. But let me tell you, they went in and managed to lock the door and then couldn't figure out how to unlock it. And I was stood on the outside saying, guys, you got to do this. Just stand on something. And by the end, actually, we had to climb out of the house window. Then I had to somehow stick my hand inside the upper window and open the other window and then climb through the window just to let my children out of our own bathroom. Confidence can be like that. It's the only door that can be opened from within. And so the first thing that I want to deal with, because of time, the first thing that I want to deal with when it comes to overcoming fear, listen, we can either, I've been on this thing lately, fix it or build it. But I believe in fixing it. I'm a fixer by nature. I believe in fixing stuff, but I don't believe in fixing without the view to build. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't believe in fixing if I don't have the view to build. I actually believe in building and fixing on the job. That means while I'm building my life, as I'm building, I start to notice what, sometimes you only know what's wrong with a car. What does your mechanic tell you? He says, turn the engine on. I'm just going to drive it round the corner so I can listen to the engine. Sometimes you only know what's broken in the movement. Sometimes you only know what's broken. So I believe in fixing, but I don't believe in fixing for fixing's sake. Some of you are just fixing and fixing and fixing. I don't believe in fixing for fixing's sake. I believe you got to build. Your mind has to be more in the future than it is in the past. And while you're building, you'll notice areas that need to be fixed so you can build further. It's almost like an anchor on a ship. The ship is moving forward, but let me tell you something. If that anchor doesn't get lifted, the ship doesn't go further. And so the first thing I want to deal with in the realm of overcoming fear, what do we want to build? What do we want to build? We want to build confidence. We want to build confidence. This is the first C that you've got to build in your life if you're going to be somebody who is fearless. You've got to build confidence. Can I narrow down confidence to a simpler term? And all these that I'm going to teach you begin with C. Can I narrow down confidence to its narrower term? By the way, confidence sells everything. Confidence sells just about everything. There was a story about when the is it the Berlin Wall? I think it's the Berlin Wall in communist Russia, when it came down. Finally, there's a story about one of the Russian generals who was part of engineering of the whole regime, and he was a terrible man. When the tanks came rolling in, part of their assignment was to shoot him in the head. All of a sudden, when they see him coming in, he climbs on top of one of the tanks, opens the tank door, and shakes the soldier's hand and says, "Thank you so much for coming in to liberate all the people." And then all of a sudden, he becomes a leader in the nation, and all the people start following him. Why? Confidence always sells. When you're a confident person by nature, listen, you don't have to, this is why I like to teach on being how to sell without being a salesman, because salesmen are often selling something that they're not. But when you're confident, realize something, you realize people buy you more than they buy your product. And confidence is something that can be developed. But confidence, hear this, confidence comes from self-esteem. Confidence comes from self-esteem. Self-esteem is two words: self-estimation. Self-estimation. You've got to build, if you're going to build a strong self-esteem, you've got to build your self-estimation. Estimation means the value of something. And by the way, one of the things we're going to be talking about in the C's is core values. Estimation means the value of something. So if you're going to build your self-estimation. Yourself, by the way, all of you are priceless, all of you are valuable, but if you want to actualize the value, that means all of you are special. I mean, didn't your parents tell you you're just the most wonderful child in the whole world? Parents believe the best for their children. They believe their children are precious and amazing. But if you don't actualize the value, if you don't actualize the intrinsic value, if you don't turn that value into something, basically, if paper doesn't turn into money, if the beans don't turn into coffee, healthy, if you don't go through the process, you see, somebody said money doesn't grow on trees, but the difference between money and a tree is the process in between. If you don't process this value to the point that it manifests as real fruit in your life, then let me tell you something, you won't have the strongest self-estimation. Self-esteem is so important because self-esteem determines what I say yes to. Self-esteem determines what I say no to. So to have self-esteem, hear this, it must be within yourself to determine your estimation. That means this, if you're somebody who, when somebody tells you, I remember just being on the call for WMG, and somebody called Galaxy 9 came on the call, and now Galaxy 9 is like the phantom of WMG. We don't know his name till this day, but he came on the call and he said, this is a scam, it's a scam, everything's a scam, and he just came in with this scammy language telling us that we're all scammy and we're here to, don't listen to Tobi Arayomi, he's here to take all your money. I don't know who this guy is, but he came on the call and I just handled him with a smile and I passed him on. I said, don't block him. I kept talking to him. And all of a sudden in that call, somebody said, now I don't want to join anymore. And I realized what that person had. That person had no self-esteem. Look at it. It only took one person to say something else to determine his esteem. You see, when you have self-esteem, it helps you learn how to estimate others around you. You've got to have first self-esteem, and self-esteem comes from it comes from emotional intelligence, what they call EQ versus IQ, emotional quotients. That means you must have a good estimation of your value to yourself and to the world around you. You must take stock of your inventory. If I want to do business and I'm selling shoes and there is so much demand for my shoes, but there is no supply on the inside of me, that means I must take stock of what I have to offer to the world around me. You cannot have self-esteem if you don't recognize what you have to offer the world around you. And everybody's got something. Everybody's like, well, some people I know, they're just like, I've just got nothing. I've got no talents. I've got nothing to offer the world. Maybe we need to rephrase the question. Instead of saying, what do you have? The real question should be, what if you were grateful for could make you something? The truth is, a lot of us don't have self-esteem because we are ungrateful for who we are and what we've got. And because we live out of ingratitude and we live out of a sense of selfishness, we would rather have somebody else's life, and in wanting somebody else's life, we get into unhealthy places of determining our esteem by what somebody else says, instead of finding out exactly what we have and what we have to offer to the world around us. So many don't recognize their own estimation. They haven't taken stock. Now, you've got to take stock of two things if you're going to have sober self-estimation. You've got to take stock of your potential, and you've got to take stock of your actual. And that means you've got to do a SWOT analysis on yourself. You got to check out what your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats are. I did this many years ago, where I wrote down a little SWOT analysis on myself, and SWOT is the most basic form of analysis. Hey, look, Toby, what are your strengths? What are your strengths? And most people, when you ask them what their strengths are, they can only come up with 2 or 3. I can sing and I like to smile. But when we ask you, what are your weaknesses? Man, you can come up with, you can write a novel on your weaknesses. And this, by the way, is why you don't have strong self-esteem. You've elevated your reasons why you cannot do something above the reasons why you can. And I can often tell you, the secret that I found in the life of people who are successful versus people who are like failing in life is this one principle and one principle only. It's confidence. I have seen that within themselves they have a confiding, they have a strength within themselves that has determined their self-esteem. Now remember, in order to develop self-esteem, you must take stock of both your potential and you must take stock of your actual. In order to have good self-esteem, you must be humble with concerns to your weaknesses, which means you cannot deny or be arrogant about areas of weakness in your life, because nobody falls because of their strengths. Everybody falls because of their weaknesses. Like Jeffrey Epstein, billionaire, fell because he's got this weird weakness in his life for children. Michael Jackson, great singer and pop artist, but sunk because of this area of weakness that's going on. But the job is to feed the strengths more than you feed the weaknesses. The assignment is to feed your strengths more than you feed your weaknesses. And then the other assignment is, as you're feeding your strengths, you'll notice something. You're dragging the weaknesses along with you. But the weaknesses are becoming weaker because they're entering the environment of your strengths. And now people can't even see your weaknesses lest you tell them about the very areas in your own life that you're weak in. So you're dragging these strengths along. You're bringing these strengths along. You're increasing your strengths to the point that they envelop your weaknesses, but you're extremely humble. There are environments I will not put myself in. There are compromising positions that I would not even be seen in. Why? Because I know my weaknesses. I don't want to play to the areas of weakness. But what do I do instead? I create the environments around me that promote my greatest strengths. Maybe you're a great talker, a great communicator, but right now, if you're not careful, the very things that are good about you can die because you didn't take stock, because you weren't grateful for what you had. And yet somebody is looking at your life right now and thinking, man, if I were them, if I was that person, what I would do right now, who I would be right now. And I just came to a point in my own life where to overcome fear, I had to get rid of other people's estimation, other people's thoughts. Oh, you got to listen to this part. Even your parents' thoughts about you, good and bad. You've got to assess all of them and see which ones you're going to keep versus which ones you're not going to keep. Basically, you've got to individuate. At some point, the umbilical cord has got to be cut, and you've got to develop your own self-estimation outside of anybody else. Your self-estimation determines what you're willing to handle. Your self-estimation also determines who you have around you. Your self-estimation determines your choices. It determines everything about you, how you estimate yourself. The reason why you won't see me, now bad example because I let my watches lie around just about anywhere, but the reason why you won't see me put, like, have you ever found a Hublot on the floor or a Rolex in I remember finding a Rolex in Asda, in the bread section of Asda, and thinking, oh my goodness. And I looked around to see whose Rolex it was, and I did the weakest search I could. I went, hey, is this anybody's Rolex? Well, I guess nobody answered. So I went and put that Rolex on my wrist, and I wore it for years. And people were like, man, you got a Rolex? That's so cool. I was like, yeah. And I talked with this hand because it was my Rolex hand. And so every time I was talking to her, I was like, yeah, so how are we doing today? How's business going today? They were like, oh, you got a Rollie. Yeah, I was like, I got a Rollie. Later on, I found out when I went to some place, I found out that it was a fake Rollie, and I had to realize, well, Toby, you found it in a bread bin. You found it in a bread bin in Asda, in a bread section in Asda. Of course, it's not going to be something real. You see, when you know your value, there's some people you don't hang around with anymore. You're not going to be in the bin anymore. When you know your value, there are certain places you won't even go anymore. When you know your value, there's certain choices that you just will not make because you know your value. When you know your value, there's certain ways you won't let people talk to you anymore. When you know your value, you start to realize, maybe I shouldn't be, this was me, I shouldn't be in this job. I'm smarter than this guy who's telling me what to do. I'm more intelligent than you. I looked at my CEO one day in my company. I said, I can be you. I'm smarter than you. How am I still here? I could think circles around you. You should be paying me more than you're paying yourself. And this guy was doing nothing. You've got to determine your self-estimation. If you don't, by the way, your strengths will be consumed by your weaknesses. Listen, this is so important. I don't even know if you guys are talking to me or if you're saying anything unless I go on YouTube. But let's check out any comments that we've got going on here on YouTube as well. Oh, fantastic. You guys are hearing me. Come on, help me share it with more people. Help me get this this conversation out today. Oh, fantastic. We got a couple more people online. You've got to develop your self-estimation. You've got to develop your self-esteem. Can I move on? I think this is good enough, but let me move on in my, hey Antoinette. Oh, hey Monica. Hey Gwendolyn. I'm just seeing some different people. Hey Abby, how's it going? How's it going, people? Hey Omar, what's up? Yes, you've got to develop your self-esteem. That's the first thing you've got to develop. And by the way, that's by taking stock of your strengths and your weaknesses and promoting your strengths. Ask yourself this question: if you were grateful for your life, grateful for who you are, what would you promote? See, some of you think it's really attractive, especially some of you women, and I just want to help you in relationships. You think it's really attractive to downplay yourself. You think it's really endearing when somebody says, hey, you're a really good speaker. No, I'm not. I'm actually quite rubbish. And you start telling someone, oh, you're really pretty. No, I got this ugly spot and it always pusses on my face, and I got this hair that just grows out and blows in the wind. It's like, listen, you're just decreasing your estimation. You are undermining yourself. And I need to ask you a question. How long would you be friends with somebody who speaks to you the way you talk to yourself? How long are you going to remain friends with someone, I'll ask you that again, who speaks to you the way you keep talking to yourself? You keep destroying the very things of value that are on the inside of you by not developing your confidence. By the way, confidence determines everything. Self-esteem and confidence are synonymous. It determines everything. In fact, if you ever see a confident person, it came from self-esteem. Confidence comes from self-esteem. And self-esteem is when I have the ability to elevate all my strengths above my weaknesses. I have the knowledge of my weaknesses and I don't play to them. I play to my strengths. And let me tell you what I do with my strengths as a CEO. Let me tell you what I do with my strengths as a CEO. I play to my strengths, hear this, and I employ my weaknesses. Oh, you just missed a good place to jump right there. Listen, I speak to my strengths. I build and play to my strengths because that's the game I'll always win. I'm always going to win the game of me. This is why I speak. I'm a phenomenal speaker. I'm a great speaker. This is why all I do is I speak. I know this is my strength. I know this is my crowd pull. I know this is my party trick, the ability to speak and give people wisdom that moves them from one place to another place in their life. I know this is my strength. I spent years mastering it, years refining it, years processing it. So I didn't land here. I spent a lot of time developing this strength so that it became the muscle that you see today. And people go, my goodness, he's so wise. My goodness, he's so smart. And I'm not even done. I'm still in the infancy phase right now. But it's a great strength of mine. My ability to speak, my ability to communicate, my ability to motivate, my ability to inspire. These are great strengths of mine, and I play to them very well. And I've got weaknesses. I'm not talking about my negative weaknesses, like if I've got a little problem going on, like a little moral issue going on. I employ my weaknesses. I surround myself with people who are in the area of my weaknesses. But if those people did not have their own self-esteem, let me tell you what would happen. If they didn't determine their own self-esteem, then they would not even know that they were valuable to me. This is why self-esteem is so important, because self-esteem determines who you're valuable to. Self-esteem determines where you fit in life. The very reason why all my fingers are different is because they all have a different purpose. I don't know if you pick your nose, but you definitely, I hope you don't pick it with your thumb, right? Your thumb is what you used to say, hey dude, how you doing? I don't know if you point, but you definitely don't point with your little finger. This is the difference. You point with this finger, you grip with this finger, maybe you pick your ear with this finger, maybe you tell people that they're number one with this finger, and you marry people with this finger. But every single one of them is a tool. Every one of them is different, and this is why they don't fight with each other. They don't compete with each other, because they've learned their difference. If you're constantly arguing with people around you, if you're constantly arguing in your relationship, or somebody's constantly arguing with you, I can tell you where the issue is. They have no self-esteem, or they have a very low self-estimation of their own worth and their own value in the relationship. Guys, I hope this is helping you. The other area, so we talked about confidence. And by the way, I spent the most time on confidence because I think the other areas are more important. I think this is the most important area that you want to build. If you want to destroy self-esteem, by the way, you destroy it by the belief that somehow you can please everybody. If you ever want to destroy your self-confidence, destroy it by believing that you can please everybody. This is why I laugh at the cancel culture that I'm seeing on Twitter. I think it's such idiocy and foolishness when you've got a bunch of really insecure fools unfollowing you and talking about you and saying, because you have a different opinion, therefore I'm going to attack you until you think like me. How low in self-esteem are these brats who come on people's Twitter and Instagram feed inspiring unfollow content? By the way, people with low self-esteem need a lot of people to support their lack of self-esteem. They need a lot of offended, weak, and gullible people to support their sense of self-esteem. They can rarely stand alone on their convictions. Rarely. If they've got a conviction, they can rarely stand alone on the conviction until they create a movement of other people. More on that in a moment. But let's look at the next one. And tell them I said so. I'm not afraid of them. I don't care if they unfollow me. I'm not afraid of them. Tell them I said they're fools and they need to go back to school and they need one brain cell to communicate with another, and they need to read some books more as well. Number two, the second area is you need to develop, if you're going to develop overall to overcome fear, you need to develop an awareness of your convictions. You need to develop an awareness of your convictions. Let me tell you, conviction is the real you. Your convictions are your design. Your convictions are often revealed in... Sorry, that's my trading platform you're hearing because we're always making money here. Your conviction is always often being... John, I don't know if you can turn me down. Thank you. Your conviction is always being revealed in your pleasures and your displeasures. Your convictions are always there. Now, sometimes your convictions can be misguided, and I don't believe that these are misguided convictions. I believe there are two things competing in your soul, because you were born with faith, and some people learn fear in the process. You are born with faith. You were born to trust. You learned most of your fears. And you have convictions or you have restrictions. And you have to discover and decipher between the two, because your restrictions are your uneducated convictions. Things like, I won't have too much money, because if I get too much money, then I'm going to somehow lose it and I'm going to become unpopular and money's a really bad thing. Those are restrictions. Those are not design convictions. Because if you really listen to conviction properly, you realize that what you're saying has no common sense to it, because everybody needs money. You realize the majority of people aren't living by the convictions, they're living by the restrictions. Basically, they allowed somebody to re-educate or put in another version of a conviction. You have a conviction of truth. Part of your conviction of truth, all of you know it, all of you on here know it, that you deserve more. Otherwise you wouldn't complain so much. Part of your conviction of truth is that you were born to be in charge of your life. That's why you don't like people telling you what to do. Part of your conviction that you have is that you ought to be free to do what you want when you want. Part of your conviction is that you should own things, that you should be able to own whatever you want, however you want it. That's why people go out robbing and stealing when they have a chance. Let's say it's a race riot, and there's a race riot in America. What does looting shops have to do with racism? It's just like, people have treated me bad, let me steal everything from a shop of people who have worked hard to build their companies. We have convictions, and our convictions drive our behaviors, and oftentimes our ignored convictions lead to a life of frustration. Ignored convictions will always lead to a life of frustration. Convictions are sabotaged often by fear, and convictions are faith in infancy. Let me say that again. Convictions are faith in infancy. Conviction, I wrote this down, conviction are the glowing embers of faith. Fan them, and you will have stirred the flames. You would have stirred the flames of possibilities. I'll say that again. Convictions are the glowing embers of faith. Fan them, and you will have stirred the flame of faith. 15-year-old me, 14-year-old me sat down. 14 years old. I was intelligent enough to create self-awareness. I sat down and I started taking an inventory of my own life. I'm writing. I still have manuscripts and PowerPoints of me writing how I want my life to be. Because if I don't have self-esteem, somebody else will determine my life, which is why some of you are working jobs right now. You're building somebody else's dream. If you don't have self-esteem, you'll build someone else's dream. Now, some people should be building other people's dreams. Some people are called in life to be support. Some people are called in life to be partners. Some people are called in life to do business. But everybody, I believe, is called to lead. Everybody, if they choose to follow their convictions. People rarely do. Everybody's aware of their conviction. Both the fearful and the faithful are aware of their convictions. The difference between the two is in the response. You need to discern and discover your convictions, and you need to stop letting your restrictions speak. What do your restrictions sound like? Eloquent excuses. Some people speak excuses so well, so fluently. I make a joke that there's a nation of people I discovered called the Procra people, and they speak a fluent language. They come from a nation called procrastination, and their language is Procra, and every single one of them speak excuses fluently. I don't have enough time. I'm too old. I just don't get it. I don't understand things. See, some of you on here on WMG TV have been on WMG TV for months. Some of you only a week, and you still haven't watched anything, and you still haven't learned anything. And let me tell you one of your biggest issues. It's not that the content is difficult, it's that you're just not confident. And the moment you're not confident, or you say, oh, maybe something about it just reminds you of when you were in school, and you just go, oh no, this is taking me back to my school days when I had to learn and I was so bad at school. And though it's easy content, fear always exaggerates. Fear always makes things worse than it is. And if you don't follow your convictions will lead, your lack or your ignorance of your convictions will always lead you to the place of your restrictions. So you definitely want to break the tie of your restrictions. You want to understand what are your convictions. And by the way, these are things you've got to write down. If you never sit down by yourself, this isn't something that you do in a rush. This isn't a speed test. This is something you've got to sit down by yourself and discover what are your convictions. Let me tell you what my conviction is. Let me tell you. And some of you are going to hear your restrictions when I say this. You're going to hear your own restrictions. If you're not careful, let me tell you something. If you don't discover your convictions, other people will impose their restrictions upon you. Your parents will do it. Your parents sometimes are your greatest restrictions. If they don't teach you how to discover your own convictions, which parents are meant to do, help you discover the convictions that you are born with, they will place upon you their own restrictions. Be careful, because people like you don't succeed in life. Be careful, because if they work hard, you got to work 10 times harder because of the color of your skin. You got to be careful about the restrictions and the aspersions you allow people to put on you. You got to be careful about the restrictions you allow society to put on you, that because you're female, somehow female means now you're dumb and you can't do anything, and men are overcoming you, or because you're black this, or because you're white you got to be careful about the restrictions you allow people to put in your mind. You got to guard this mind with everything that's on the inside of you. I hope that you are you're still with me. I've just got a few more to go through, and I've got 10 minutes to land the plane. So you got to watch your convictions. The other area, by the way, write down your convictions. Your convictions are the train track to your destiny. Your convictions are the train track to your purpose. One of my convictions when I was younger, at 14 years old, I am meant to be a multi-billionaire. This is my conviction. I can tell you, honestly, people who are billionaires had always had the conviction sitting on the inside of them that this is who they were meant to be. They always had it. It didn't just dawn on them. It didn't just come to them one day. There's been this conviction. That's why I know I'm not called to everyone. I'm called to those who resonate with my conviction. That's why I built WMG. WMG is the expression of my conviction. That's all it is. It's the expression of my conviction. If you don't have the same conviction, don't write nasty messages about me. Don't talk about me. This is my conviction. I just know, I'm convinced, I'm convicted. And people have tried to put their restrictions on me. And let me tell you, even Christians have tried to put their restrictions on me. Crazy Christians, saying stupid things, turning scriptures upside down. The love of money is the root of all evil. Yes, the love of money, which means the greedy desire for more. I'm not greedy. I don't have a greedy desire. It speaks to the motive. I have a steady desire to build wealth. I believe that God gives me the power to prosper, to establish his covenant. That is what I believe. You just chose to believe something that supports your restriction. I chose to believe something that supports my conviction. And my conviction tells me that if I'm rich, I have the ability to help other people. people. Try and help people being broke. The most you can do for people when you're broke is give them a hug, a kiss, and feel sorry for them. But when you have the finances, you can help. You can build nations. You can build orphanages. You can build hospitals. And right now we get to take care of orphans. We get to do all of that stuff. We get to feed people on the streets of Stratford. Why? Because we chose to be wealthy. The other C that you've got to watch out for, if you want to build confidence, you've got to write down your core values, and please turn them into just 3 core values. For example, WMG has core values: secret strategies for success. That's our core values. What my businesses have always represented my own core values. Like London, for example, be loved, believe, be liked. They've always been a representative of my core values. Part of my core value is compassion. This is a deep core value of mine. I care deeply about people. But listen, I don't love people if I don't love me. I can't love you more than I love me. I am the lid on my love. And so I got to keep growing my self-love. I've got to keep growing my love for myself. If you don't do this, you won't be able to love other people very well. Guys, I hope that now you're on this channel, you're going to hit that subscribe button, and you're going to make sure that this video gets out to as many people as it possibly can. Please also don't forget to comment at the bottom of the screen below. By the way, after this video, we got an advert that we want to play for you and give you an opportunity to join us on the journey that we're on to success and to wealth. But you got to build this thing, guys. You got to build your core values. Write them down. These are the core values. If you're a man, you got to write, if you're a man or father, you got to write the core values of your house, the core values of your home. You should have 3. You should create them like a sticker on the wall in your house. These are the core values of this home. This is what we stand for in this home. Part of my core value is compassion. Another one of my core values is competence. I cannot be an idiot through life. I cannot lack knowledge. I cannot be a fool. I've dedicated myself every day to grow. I must grow. Even if it's 10 minutes listening to teaching someone, I must grow every single day. This is what we call the green zone, the time to grow. I got to grow. Otherwise, I wouldn't know what to say to you. If I don't grow, I become the limit on you. I'm the leader of this organization. I'm the leader of several organizations. And if I don't grow, I cap your potential because you're following my lead. So I've got to dedicate myself to my own personal growth. And knowledge is infinite. It's out there. Wisdom is infinite. It exists out there. And so you got to I spend my whole life, I've chosen that my obsession is wisdom. My obsession is wisdom. It's my obsession. I love wisdom more than I love food. I love wisdom more than I love my wife, more than I love my family. I love wisdom. Why? Because if I didn't have wisdom, I wouldn't be able to love my wife. If I didn't have wisdom, I wouldn't know how to love my family well. If I didn't have wisdom, I wouldn't know how to do what I'm doing. I love wisdom more than life itself. I love wisdom. I pursue wisdom. I place wisdom higher than myself. I love wisdom more than I love me. I love wisdom more than I love sleep. That's why you'll see me in a dark room listening to wisdom. I don't have time to listen to fools talking about what girl they slapped on the bum or how they can twerk a cup on their behind or how much weed they smoked. I don't have time for that. I only have time for wisdom because those are condemned buildings destined to fail. It's just a matter of time because they've built themselves on wrong foundations. I have to build they look attractive. A building can look attractive, but if the foundation is off, it is condemned to fail. You've got to make sure, guys, that all the way through your life, your foundations are correct. So, I got 6 minutes. Let me give you my next point. You got to build your core values. Your core values, by the way, are what you stand for. In WMG, you got to tell me what your core values are. Are you a hard worker? Is that part of your core value? Or that you're a hard worker? Is it part of your core value that you have one of my core values, by the way, is I don't quit. I don't quit, I grow. I don't fail, I learn. These are my core values. Can you write down, can you get together your core values? Core is the strongest part of the body. In fact, if you want to train in any sport, they say develop your core. Develop first your core. This is why squats are hard. Press-ups are some of the most tasking exercises too, because they work your core muscles. In the same way, you are only as strong in life as your core values. Your core values determine what you stand for. Your core values are your uncompromisable things. These are things that you refuse to compromise on. There are areas as a CEO, people try to tell me, hey, Toby, do it this way. I'm like, nope. Oh, Toby, you're real mean. You don't listen to anybody. You only listen to you. No, I just got core values, and you knew that when you came here. You're in my environment, so it's my rules. When we're in yours, it's your rules. These are the core values of this house. You got to have core values, and you got to stand by your core values as well. And we live in a world that values are so eroded. People talk about, like on news, these people don't represent the values of our nation. This nation does not have values anymore. The values are as fluid as their lack of common sense. It's gone. You've got to write down your core values, and your core values, by the way, are your unmovable areas. The next one I want to talk to you about is your courage. Your choices. Your choices. The next C that I want to determine with you is your choices. Your choices also determine your level of confidence. Your choices also determine the fear you're willing to walk out of. Because even if you built your self-estimation by increasing your knowledge and your wisdom base, if you do nothing with the knowledge you've got, wisdom is the ability to apply knowledge. Wisdom is the when, the what, and the how. Wisdom teaches you how to do the right thing at the right time. Wisdom is all about timing and discernment. And wisdom is something that's core to the human spirit. If you learn to listen to it, it's intrinsic in the human spirit, and it can grow through learning. Wisdom needs the food of knowledge. It needs the food of understanding in order to grow. And so I want to know, what are the choices that you're willing to make? Your choices must move you out of the familiar if you're going to grow away from fear. You see, what fear is designed to do is to keep you not in dread and doom. No, it's to keep you in a worse place, in familiarity and comfort. There's a worse place than hell. It's called comfort and familiarity. And some of you are in hell's waiting room right now because it's just comfort and familiarity. It's just that middle ground place. And you've got to learn now to say, let me move and walk out of the familiar and into unknown territory. So your choices are going to become important, because your choices become your habits become your character, and your character becomes your consequences. And that's the quality of your life. You've got to now decide to make new choices. Listen, some of you are about to go back to your jobs. You've been looking forward to it. When do I get to go back to your dead-end job? You probably even missed the familiarity of the environment and the uncertainty of pursuing business as an entrepreneur. But if you're going to be successful, you got to make the kind of choices that push you out of your places of familiarity. My next one, because of time, you've got to develop it. Finally, if you're going to overcome fear, you've got to develop your company. This is my final one. You got to develop your company, and I said this on my live last night. There are 3 levels of company. There are eagles, chickens, and peacocks. And let's deal with chickens in your life. The chickens in your life, they look like eagles. They're big talkers. They squawk, squawk, squawk. They're big talkers. They can also fight. They can be mean little roosters as well. They have a harem. Chickens have a harem where they hang out together and they listen to one supreme rooster who rules over them. And some of you are in a harem right now of other chickens, and you got a boss or some supreme rooster or some fear that's dominating your life. Those are chickens. And by the way, there's another C I wanted to deal with if you're going to walk out of fear. And I'll actually touch on it before I deal with your company. Counseling. You need to surround yourself with the right counsel. 2 things you need. You need to learn to self-counsel. Coaching deals with the future. Counseling deals with the past. And those are the 2 C's that you need. You need a coach and you need a counselor. And by the way, you need to learn first, before you get your coach and your counselor, you need to learn first to be your own counselor, and you need to be your own coach. That means you got to identify, what are these bad images, these bad thoughts? Where did they come from? You've got to question everything. Why don't I work hard? Instead of making excuses, counsel yourself. When I was young and I was afraid of the dark, I had to tell myself, this is in your head. This is in your head, Toby. And actually, I put myself in my mind in Disneyland because that was the only happy thought I could think of that would help me sleep. I would first counsel myself, and then I would coach myself. You cannot go for counseling till you've learned to counsel yourself and to coach yourself. And if you're in such a state that you just can't make a decision, then I advise you go for counseling. Some of the best counseling I know of is called Sozo, S-O-Z-O. Just Google it. It's a great Christian form of counseling called Sozo, S-O-Z-O. And I think there's a sozo.com website that you can go on. And let me tell you, it will help you identify negative images, false belief systems that you have about yourself, and just break those things off of you. I was asking my top salesman how he did it in his own life. He said, let me tell you something. It wasn't just coaching. It was counseling. It was Sterling Record. He had this conversation with me. It was counseling. He said he dealt with the things that were going on inside of him that were holding him back in fear and intimidation, that were hidden behind all the excuses and the fluff that we all talk about that stops us from progressing. Back to company. So your company determines by your company, you're either with chickens who talk. You're with peacocks who look real good, and some of you are dating your peacock right now. They look good, but they don't make a lick of sense. They don't have two brain cells that even communicate with each other, but they look fine. They look great. They're all hips, lips, and fingertips, so they got that six-pack going on, and so they look good, but they got no content. And these are the peacocks of life. Let me just approve that for you, John. These are your peacocks of life. And then third group of people, who are my favorite group of people, these are your eagles. These are your eagles, and this is who I want you to find. But see, in order to find them, you've got to be them. In order to find them, you've got to become them. In order to find them, you've got to become them. You can't do more till you become more. It's not possible. And this is why I get baffled at the fact that people spend more money on the outside of their head than they do on the inside. You can't do more till you become more. You can't outdo you. You can't outcapacity your mind. You can't do more till you become more. And by the way, when I dealt with counseling, it's very important that you deal with the weeds so that the fruits can grow properly. It's very important. And each and every one of us gets a MOT on our own souls and the things that are going on in our personal history that's holding us captive from the future, the inner child, so to speak, that's trying to get out and become an adult, the arrested development that sits on the inside of us. But when I deal with eagles now, I'm talking about people who can soar higher. I'm talking about, if you're an eagle on here, you're not going to listen to this once. You're going to listen to this 50 times, 60 times, until it becomes a part of you. If you're an eagle on here, you're about to take action. If you're an eagle on here, you're taking notes, not taking notes going, wow, this is great. You're taking notes to take immediate action. If you're an eagle on here, you're not even going to sleep tonight. You're writing down how you can begin to apply everything that I just said. If you're an eagle, you recognize that I'm an eagle, because eagles recognize each other, because eagles fly at a height that they know that if they see another bird, it's not anything, it's another eagle. And eagles mate for life. When an eagle meets an eagle, they mate for life. That means we're in this together. If you're my eagles on here, we're in this together. That means if you're my eagle on here, you're in WMG, you don't quit on WMG. We're in this together. We're building each other. We're strengthening each other. We're sharpening each other. If you're my eagle on here, you've liked and subscribed. You're not a hater who just say, well, I'm just going to watch that and go away. No, you liked and you subscribed, and you also commented and you share it with your people. Why? Because eagles are not insecure. Eagles promote each other. Eagles don't tear each other down. Eagles help each other. Eagles soar to greater heights, and eagles mate for life. That means we're in this together. Your enemies are my enemies. If you've got an enemy of poverty, it's my enemy also. But I need to know you're an eagle. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this session of Wealth Mental Goal coaching. I hope that your brains are engaged and sharp. I hope that you're fired up and ready to go. If you want to know more about joining the WMG Inward Network, where we teach people how to manage their money from the comfort of their own home and multiply their income, stay tuned, because there's a video that we're about to play right now. On your tablet, whatever device you're using, I want to let you know about an event that's happening this Saturday, the 2nd of May, and you don't want to miss it. Our last event was already filled with so much motivation. It was filled with so much inspiration and talks on leadership development, money management, and different areas, and also a great opportunity for you guys to have a behind-the-scene access to see what it is we do at WMG. I'm sure you see all these charts and figures and wonder what's going on. You get to have a behind-the-scenes access to see exactly what we're doing. You get to speak to some of my existing students and business partners and find out so much more. Guys, we want to give you as much free content as possible, so I've made sure this event is absolutely free. Now listen, it's on the 2nd of May, this Saturday. You don't want to miss it. You can't afford to. Let's win together. See you online. Hello guys, it's me again, Tobi Arayomi, CEO of Wealth Mental Goals, and I'm so excited to be on your phone, your tablet, whatever device you're using. I want to let you know about an event that's happening this Saturday, the 2nd of May, and you don't want to miss it. Our last event was already filled with so much motivation. It was filled with so much inspiration and talks on leadership development, money management, and different areas, and also a great opportunity for you guys to have a behind-the-scene access to see what it is we do at WMG. I'm sure you see all these charts and figures and wonder what's going on. You get to have a behind-the-scenes access to see exactly what we're doing. You get to speak to some of my existing students and business partners and find out so much more. Guys, we want to give you as much free content as possible, so I've made sure this event is absolutely free. Now listen, it's on the 2nd of May, this Saturday. You don't want to miss it. You can't afford to. Let's win together. See you online. Hello guys, it's me again, Tobi Arayomi, CEO of Wealth Mental Goals, and I'm so excited to be on your phone, your tablet, whatever device you're using. I want to let you know about an event that's happening this.
A lot of people don't believe you at the dream phase. They want to see the thing become something first, and a lot of people are actually waiting for you to fall. This business is not just about trading. It's really, we're birthing leaders.
It's true, everyone can be a leader.
I wanted wealth. I still want insane wealth.
Knowing that actually there's something bigger on the inside of me. It's my why.
I will be a multi-millionaire with at least £5 million in assets.
I'm wired to hate being broke.
I made 22K within a day. But I came from the background of poverty, so this was monopoly to me.
It's lonely at the top. How can I get other people with me on this journey to success?
Definition of hell is the person that you are one day meeting the person that you could have been.